Gang, I hope you are very well. Welcome to another episode of my program, pretty much. I was waiting for Siri to fucking start talking then, but he didn't, which is great. He's normally a prick. But let's get straight into, I suppose, like this second iteration of the pull and hamstring day. Now, if you followed the other vlogs, I basically got a pull and hamstring day, pushing quads, and then basically it's a ×2 variation of it. The pull and hamstring day, the first one is going to be a hinge variation. The second one is just basically going to be an ISO, but it goes more so towards like a lot of compound back movements, whereas the other day has less so, right? That's kind of how my programming has flowed. Also, sorry for my like really hay fevery nasally voice. I have hay fever. What can you do? Which, to be honest, if we talk about like I suppose like general updates in terms of the off season, I'm not gonna lie, going from like a prep when you're extremely fatigued, and then stopping prep, pushing body weight up just a little bit, and then going through hay fever, it's tough. I think people without hay fever don't recognize what hay fever does to a fucking person. It's extremely taxing. Like the whole day, I just want to fucking fall asleep, and also like I'm developing like borderline asthma with it as well. So it's not fucking nice, but it is what it is. I'm hoping it can fuck off soon, to be honest, because I feel like one of them kids at school that always has their like asthma pumps, and it's like no, my allergies, and then have to like get asthma pumps and shit. So that's what I feel like right now. It's not a nice feeling. Anyway. It's not why you wanted to watch this vlog. We're going to get into the second iteration of the pull and hamstring day. We're going to start now. First exercise up is going to be a dumbbell bent over row. Now, there's a big reason why I'm basically plugging this in first. It's quite simply, if I have it in like third, fourth in line, I just can't get short. So I'm basically plugging this in early where I can get short, right? And then it's just basically a case of like gripping, ripping, not worrying too much about where I'm feeling this specifically. It's just challenging everywhere. The reason why I've got the attack angle slightly upright is quite simply, if you go into like a penalty row, I tend to find that my kind of like lower back is just taxed to fuck. Also, at that angle, you got to think, you'll see in the background in a minute, about like the T-bar row. The T-bar row has an attack angle like this. And it tends to really light up the back pretty much everywhere. So yeah, the bent over row attack angle is fairly similar. We're just loading the lower back as well, right? So yeah, I think a lot of people will think like as a glorified shrug, it's like, nah, actually it's probably a more stable way to attack the whole back. We then go into a, I suppose like a neutral grip lat pull down. Not much to say about that, to be honest. As long as you're not, I suppose like, moving, I suppose like leaning back too far and not turning it into like an upper back row, tend to be okay. You can't really fuck up a neutral grip lat pull down, I'm not gonna lie, unless you basically I suppose like lean back a little bit too far. Next exercise is going to be a SA lat row. All of these exercises so far are 2 sets, one top, one back off. So yeah, that's basically it so far. The SA lat row, there's a big reason why I'm doing the SA rows at the minute, and it's quite simply I spent so long above head doing like lat pull downs. I spent so many years doing that I've developed quite a big teres major, but not big lats, which then kind of like hurts me in the fact of like I suppose like trying to flare my lats in prep because I don't have big lats. So right now I'm having to almost like develop my lats by almost like coming underneath my teres major, just to develop lats, which is basically why that's plugged in. Next we have an upper back row. Now this is the only exercise in my whole entire mesocycle or microcycle that I do partials with. There's a lot of like I suppose like hype with partials at the minute, and to me this is the safest I suppose like best way to do partials. Couple of reasons. I see a lot of people doing like partials with chest work, and to me that's just like, it's just a recipe for fucking disaster. So I'd much rather do it on something like this where I'm a bit more stable. To be honest, a lot of partial work, in my opinion, is probably best left of back movements, just from a safety standpoint. And also, trackability standpoint, like it's super hard to track some stuff. If you got your whole entire like mesocycle or microcycle with partials, it's like super hard to track with progressive overload, because how do you know the difference between this and then this and this, right, every week? It's like you just don't. So yeah, I basically keep it to a minimal, and I keep it towards something like an upper back row. That's basically it. All I do is I'll load up and then just do like I suppose like a reverse drop set, and that's pretty much back done. I do that for 2 sets. The last set is basically a partial rep, but the rest of it is like I keep the same premise to, I suppose, like building muscle is basically I just progressively overload by trying to beat numbers rather than try and do like loaded partials, right? I think this is going to be very much a fad that is going to die very, very soon. But yeah, there's my thought processes on lengthened partials. We then go through adductor, and then basically we do a seated leg curl, which yeah is my hamstring work for the whole entire day. Now adductor, you could argue, is not hamstring. I'm just going to class it as my hamstring work. So yeah, that's basically it. We do some, I suppose like we do the a kind of a rest pause set. I was trying to think of the word rest pause. Rest pause set with adductor, and then we basically just go into normal sets in terms of the leg curl. So the structure of this day isn't too bad, to be honest. It's basically like 4 back exercises, and then basically I suppose like 2 hamstring, and then basically after that it's basically just arms. So it does look quite intimidating when you got everything on in your notes, but it's actually like my easier day, right? The harder day is actually the one after this, which is going to be a push and quad. That's a doozy. So yeah, arm work, I'm basically using 3 variations. Reason why I've got so many variations in place is that I just get bored with arm exercises, so I'd rather like have more arm exercises with less sets, rather than just doing like 6 sets of like arms, right? So the reason why I've got so many variations in place is quite simply just boredom. It isn't necessarily from like I have to work it from all angles. It's like, nah, I just get fucking bored in the same like flexion, extension, right? Mainly flexion, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, just I suppose like to recap, started off with bent over row, just a big heavy back movement, then went on to a I suppose like a lat pull down. Not really thinking too much about that one, to be honest. It's just like elbows to pocket. We then go for an SA lat row, which is basically because I have an overdeveloped teres major. I've got to get underneath my, I suppose like teres major for my lat. We then go for an upper back variation with partials, which is basically introducing the reverse drop set. That's the only thing that I do in terms of like partials, just from a trackability standpoint mainly. Then we go through adductor, then we go through seated hamstring curls, and then basically like 3 variations of bicep curls. That's pretty much it, and that's again, that's pretty much going to be the structure throughout my whole entire off season. Like I can see like different movements being changed, like here and there, like different variations. But to be honest, like the actual bulk split is going to be very, very, very similar. It's producing pretty decent results already, given it's only like 3 weeks into the off season. Very happy so far with how the frame is filling up. But yeah, any questions? Of course, hit them in the box below or comment section below. We're nearly 1,000 fucking subscribers, by the way, which is nuts because that's taken like 3 years. But anyway. Go like, go share, whatever, go comment, hope you're well, and if you've got any questions about the programming, then let me know. Anyway, peace.